Travis Decker is wanted by police and on the run for taking the lives of his 3 daughters. Today, I want to talk to you about his military training and also give you some updates from the girl's mom. So, we're going to start with military training first. Now we're going to go over to the New York Post. They put this article out yesterday. Just briefly. The military veteran whose ex-wife has remained at large with a $20,000 reward issued for info leading to his arrest. Look how different he looks in this photo here versus the photos we initially saw. This is when he's cleaned up, which I think the public needs to see in case he decides to shave his head or something like that. Now, I went to the source. They go into his military background, and I went to the source of this article, which is Fox 13. Now, Fox 13 Seattle confirmed with a spokesperson with the Washington National Guard that Decker was a member of the National Guard. He transferred to the organization in 2021 from the active component and has been pending a disciplinary discharge for not showing up to his monthly drills. The last drill he attended was about a year ago. Travis Decker shows up in several social media posts from current and past members of the armed forces. Based on Fox 13 Seattle's review of those accounts and other social media profiles, Decker likely has advanced infantry combat training. Multiple Facebook and Instagram posts show Decker he was an airborne paratrooper who earned his elite Ranger tab, meaning he has elite wilderness evasion and survival skills. A different social media profile under his name claims he qualified as an instructor at the U.S. Army's National Guard Warrior Training Center at Fort Benning, Georgia. Authorities are still searching for Decker. It is unknown whether he is currently armed, and he may pose a significant risk if approached. Anyone who believes they may have seen Decker since Friday, May 30th, or knows his current whereabouts is asked to call 911 immediately. Due to safety concerns, the public is advised not to attempt to contact or approach him. Now I want to go back to the New York Post and read you a little bit of this before we go to the latest update. So here are the 3 girls, Peyton, Olivia, and Evelyn with their mother, Whitney. This is Peyton here on the left. We have Olivia here and then Evelyn here. You're absolutely precious. I cannot imagine. And by the way, I will link the mom's GoFundMe in the comment section. I don't know how you could work for quite a while after going through something like this. Now, Decker's wife, Whitney, filed for divorce from her husband last year, citing mental instability as a reason, court paperwork shows. So she literally listed on their divorce papers, mental instability. He was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder towards the end of the marriage, and Whitney didn't believe he was taking any medication, court filings seen by KIRO7 show. Travis also has some emotional/mental health issues that were the primary catalyst to the end of our marriage and have also affected the girls greatly, she wrote in court paperwork seen by the Seattle Times. He was in the Army for many years. Upon separation from the Army and transition into the reserves, his borderline personality disorder and narcissism became rampant, she said. In recent months, there was an escalation in his behavior. There's Peyton with her switch game. He's had some outbursts where he has burst into my home against my objections and yelled for the girls, she said in court documents, adding that she didn't want to stop him from seeing his daughters. So he was just coming over, busting through the door and yet screaming and yelling for the girls. She wrote this, Travis just keeps getting more and more unstable. He has made huge sacrifices to serve our country and loves his girls very much, but he has got to get better for our girls, she said, warning that otherwise he would have to, quote, keep Travis from the girls, which she did not want to do. Now I want to take you over to the Seattle Times and look at this article that came out this morning. Mother of slain Wenatchee girl seeks systemic changes. Also, I'm going to see if I can get those court documents that the local news was quoting from so we can see exactly. But it says, as a search continued Wednesday for a former U.S. Army soldier suspected of killing his 3 young daughters, the girl's mother is focused on improving the state's Amber Alert system and providing adequate mental health care to veterans. Her attorney said, which are those are 2 things that are so important. To me, it doesn't matter what it costs if it's for the kids and for the people who fight for our country, fight for our freedoms. You know, we spend all this money on all these other things, but everybody knows that, like, the VA hospital is terrible, that veteran care is lacking in this country. That's just a fact. Her attorney said, the more attention we can bring to these issues, the more it will heal her, because she literally cares about nothing else in this moment but fixing these 2 things. The 3 sisters, Olivia, Evelyn, and Peyton, were reported missing Friday. We know that he didn't return the girls, wasn't answering the phone. The FBI, Homeland Security, U.S. Marshals, and U.S. Border Patrol have all joined in the search for Travis Decker, including by investigating possible sightings locally and in other states, said Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison. He said investigators have learned he is well-versed in outdoor survival and has experience caching supplies. Whitney Decker, her family, and her ex-husband's family are all cooperating with the investigation, but have requested privacy, and they deserve some privacy. She agreed to allow Cozart to speak on her behalf. That is her attorney. So Cozart said Travis, who was diagnosed with complex PTSD and borderline personality disorder after leaving active service, has been struggling with deteriorating mental health. As soon as he didn't bring those girls back at 8 o'clock, she knew something was going on, Cozart said of Whitney. Can you imagine knowing his issue? Like, I'm sure her stomach just dropped. I don't know. I just don't know how you pick up the strength to make it through these moments, but I guess you don't have a choice. There should be enough concern for the police to say these children are missing. They are in substantial danger, even though he didn't issue an overt threat, she said. Absolutely. She was told by state police that the case didn't meet the required threshold. So, Dad doesn't return the girls, isn't answering, and has mental health issues. His custody went from, having them overnight to not having them at all overnight because he didn't have a home to take them to. I just don't understand. I think there should have been an Amber Alert. The State Patrol instead issued an endangered missing persons advisory for the girls. Unlike Amber Alerts, these advisories do not send out cell phone alerts in targeted areas. Both Amber Alerts and endangered missing persons advisories are distributed through flyers, broadcast on highway reader boards, and sent to law enforcement agencies. Chris Loftus, a State Patrol spokesperson, previously said that because Decker has custodial rights, there was not an immediate legal presumption of abduction or that the children were in danger. So we do see parents that abduct their own kids all the time, but usually those parents don't have any shared custody, right? They're taking the kids when they're not supposed to have them, which he was too. So that, I don't know. It's confusing for me. I can somewhat make sense of that. Still think an Amber Alert should have been issued so those alerts could go out on phones. And if not, then you know what? Endangered missing persons alerts need to go out on cell phones too. Decker's declining mental health and out-of-character behavior in not returning the girls as planned should have been considered enough of a threat to issue the Amber Alert, said Cozart. We may never know if it could have meant the difference between life and death for those girls, but it could have made a huge difference, she said. Cozart said Travis had been desperately seeking mental health services from the VA and a veterans crisis line, but was ultimately left to struggle in isolation. When you have a vet who is suffering from complex PTSD and other mental health issues, they do not have the mental bandwidth to schedule needed exams and evaluations, she said. This was a tragedy that could have been completely avoided with proper funding of mental health services for veterans. If anybody deserves funding for mental health services, isn't it veterans? It's wrong. Whitney believes, as I do, that something broke inside of him, Cozart said. Travis would not have done what he did if he was himself. He clearly had some sort of break in everything that he had been living with, everything that had been bottled up inside of him for so long, as far as trauma, just won out. Morrison, the sheriff, appeared to believe the same thing. Asked at his news conference on Wednesday whether investigators had determined a motive, he said, I don't think there would be any motive that would be acceptable. I mean, clearly it's not the decision of a sound mind. He said Decker might have attended mountain survival school while in the Army, but noted he's been an outdoorsman since he was a kid and knows how to conceal himself. Helicopters and drones have been used to search by air. A swift water rescue team searched Icicle Creek on Wednesday. SWAT teams have been deployed to check unoccupied cabins and residences, and deputies in neighboring Kittias County are also scouring trails for any sign of Decker. We recognize that 87% of our county is not accessible by road. We are well aware of our terrain. The sheriff's office is asking anyone with information related to the search of Travis Decker to call the tip line at 509-667-6854 or submit information online at st.news/Wenatchee tips. The office said it is not clear whether he's armed and he should be considered dangerous. Anyone who sees him or believes they have seen him in the last few days should not approach him and should call 911. So here is that tip line here. And if you don't want to call, you can always email. Let me pull it back up. (509-667-6854) and stnews.Wenatchee tips. With autopsy results expected Thursday, Morrison and investigators will likely have a better idea when the girls passed and just how much of a head start Decker had on the officials searching for him. And I'm not editing this, so you're getting all the mistakes. The community in mourning. While the search for Decker continues in the woods and hills surrounding the valley and beyond, residents are doing what they can to support Whitney. Many of this city of 35,000 have never met her in person. Patty Howe, who owns the iconic Ernie's Market, was in the middle of hanging black privacy mesh along the market's chain link fence when her sister ran out of the store Tuesday morning with the news that the girls had been found. As a mom, as a woman, as a nurse, I needed to do something, said Howe, who immediately contacted Lincoln Elementary School where the Decker sisters were enrolled. They said they'd make sure Whitney got whatever I brought in. Howe went to the school to deliver flowers donated by a customer and learned the principal and a counselor had gone classroom to classroom to deliver the news of the girl's death. It was solemn and sad, and kids walked the halls with shoulders dropped, she said. It's too early for them to have such heartache. Howe's sister, Allison, who manages Ernie's Market, found a jar in the store, decorated it with photos, and put it on the counter to collect cash for Whitney. The first couple gentlemen who came in, we shared we were taking donations, and there was a heavy feeling. They were throwing money in the jar and saying, I have daughters. Sad. Though Wenatchee is growing, it's still a small town, she said. Nothing can happen in this area without people feeling it. Customers continue to share their shock and grief, and while some have expressed wanting the worst for Travis, others are saying the system failed both mom and dad. The VA in town doesn't have adequate psychiatric services. Hell, he had called a crisis line. It's not even just the VA. A crisis line? There is going to be a Shaved Ice fundraiser on June 13th to benefit Whitney. In the Bloom Flowery, and several other business owners are also collecting cash donations for her. So another woman, Brittany Huber, with her 4-year-old daughter Wyatt in tow, stopped by the downtown flower shop to pick up a donation box for Simply Unique, which is a place that Huber's mother-in-law owns. Huber and her husband donated to a GoFundMe fundraiser as of Wednesday evening that had raised nearly $650,000, but she wants to do all she can to help. Money doesn't bring them back, but if it can make things a little easier and take things off her plate while she heals, we want to do what we can. So with that, you guys, I'm going to let you go. I will link the GoFundMe in the description, and I'm going to play this as a premiere, so I'll be watching along with you in the chat. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure to share his photos. Make sure to keep an eye out. And don't just share the photos with the long hair and the scruffy beard. Share the clean cut photos too, because someone on the run usually does change their appearance. I had no idea he was an Army Ranger. Just some final thoughts. I had no idea he was a Ranger. That's even more training. And like they said, that's just elite. That is where those are the people who go the hardest, basically. Yeah. And just knowing that the VA and the Veterans Crisis Line, I can't get over that, because we all know the VA is crap. But a crisis line, like, surely to God, they help the people who actually call. No, apparently not. And that isn't right. There needs to be some changes, guys. Please share the photos and talk about the changes that need to be made, whether it's to the VA or veterans care in general, whether it's to mental health care in this country or the Amber Alert system. I mean, if you can't qualify for that and these kids like just get an endangered missing persons alert or whatever it was, that should be sent out on cell phones too, in my opinion. But anyways, I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you soon.